In the tranquil alleyways of Queens, New York, Anna Marie Larson grew up surrounded by lush green trees, where the scent of freshly baked bread from her mother's small bakery filled the air. Each morning, the sound of children playing in the nearby park mingled with the chirping of birds, creating a gentle symphony of childhood. Her father, a dedicated elementary school teacher, taught her to find joy in the simplest things: a cozy family dinner around the table, an afternoon wandering through the park, or a warm smile from a neighbor. With her golden hair shining like early morning sunlight and a radiant smile that lit up the world, Anna was like a precious gem, glowing amidst the bustling rhythm of city life. Her sincerity, utterly unpretentious, was a rare treasure in a world full of calculated motives. Anna's life changed forever on a fateful night at the Waldorf Astoria Hotel, where she attended a lavish charity gala. In a space aglow with crystal chandeliers and opulent evening gowns, Anna, in her simple black dress, felt like a shadow among the elite crowd. She stood quietly on the sidelines, observing the polite handshakes and practiced smiles. But then, her eyes met those of James Caldwell, a captivating self-made millionaire, and the founder of Caldwell Innovations, a tech company taking the world by storm. Tall, with a perfectly tailored suit hugging his frame, James was the center of every gaze. His deep blue eyes held an untold story, both powerful and wounded. Whispers circulated that he had shared tables with giants like Mark Zuckerberg at exclusive conferences, where billion-dollar ideas were born. From nothing, James had built an empire, and his confidence burned like a blazing fire. As James approached, his gaze locked onto Anna. Her heart raced. He smiled, extended his hand, and invited her to dance. In that moment, under the shimmering lights and the soft melody of the orchestra, the world around them seemed to vanish. They glided across the dance floor, moving as if they were two pieces of a perfect puzzle. James was drawn to Anna's natural warmth, a genuineness he rarely found in the scheming world of high society. Anna, in turn, was captivated by his fiery ambition, but also by the hint of melancholy behind his confident smile. They talked, laughed, and in just one night, an invisible bond connected their souls. It was the beginning of a love story that seemed straight out of a fairy tale. Just 1 year later, James led Anna to the rooftop of the Four Seasons Hotel, where flickering candlelight blended with the dazzling lights of Manhattan's skyline. Under a star-filled sky, he knelt, opening a small velvet box to reveal a diamond ring that sparkled like a dream. "Anna," he said, his voice deep and warm, "you are my light. I want to build a world with you." Anna's heart seemed to stop. She, the unassuming girl from Queens, had never imagined stepping into such a glamorous world. But James's love, fierce and sincere, erased every doubt. She nodded, tears glistening, and whispered, "Yes." The ring slipped onto her finger, marking the start of a promising new chapter. Anna stepped into James's world, carrying a heart full of hope and faith in a radiant future. Little did she know, behind that dazzling glow, a storm was quietly brewing, waiting to sweep her into a whirlwind of painful truths. If this story has touched your heart, please hit the like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel to follow more emotional journeys. Every click helps us bring you inspiring stories, reminding us that love, though beautiful, can always hide unexpected secrets. The early years of Anna Marie Larson and James Caldwell's marriage were like a perfect painting, brushed with the vibrant strokes of love and luxury. Anna, leaving behind her job as an administrative assistant at a small law firm, poured her heart into building a home for James, the man who had turned her life into a dream. James, with the generosity of a millionaire, gifted her a stunning apartment overlooking Central Park, where morning sunlight streamed through the windows, illuminating their blissful days. Together, they jetted off to Bali, where turquoise beaches and starlit dinners made Anna feel as if she were living in a romance novel. On weekend evenings, they dined by candlelight at Per Se, Manhattan's most exquisite restaurant, where every dish was a work of art. The couple graced the covers of lifestyle magazines, from Vogue to Town & Country, admired not only for their wealth but also for Anna's humility. A girl from Queens who retained her simple heart amidst a world of glamour. When Anna discovered she was pregnant, their happiness seemed to touch the stars. They chose the name Lily for their daughter, a name as gentle as their dreams. Together they painted the nursery a soft pink, selected delicate silk curtains, and meticulously placed each piece of handcrafted furniture. James, who had once shared with Anna his dream of having a family, became more tender than ever. He would kneel beside her, place his hand on her belly, and whisper loving words to Lily, his warm voice full of promises about strolls by Central Park's lake, where they would push her stroller under the shade of green trees. In those moments, Anna felt her heart overflow, as if nothing in the world could shatter their perfect life. But beneath that flawless surface, cracks began to creep in, silent as a gathering storm. James started coming home later, his eyes weary, always citing massive deals at Caldwell Innovations, his tech company, which was gearing up for a blockbuster IPO. He often secluded himself in his study, the blue glow of his laptop screen illuminating his tense face. Sometimes, Anna overheard whispered phone calls, hurried words James only spoke on the balcony or in the bathroom, out of her earshot. She tried to dismiss her unease, telling herself it was just the pressure of a multi-million-dollar contracts or high-stakes negotiations. James was an ambitious man, and ambition always came with a cost, she reasoned. Yet, the small signs piled up, like pieces of a darkening puzzle. One evening, while washing James's coat, Anna caught the scent of an unfamiliar perfume, not her own, a rich, foreign fragrance. Another time, she found a napkin stained with red lipstick tucked under the seat of his car. When she gently asked, James brushed it off with a laugh, his tone almost too casual. "Probably from a company party," he said, or "a female colleague rode in the car." His explanations were smooth, but they couldn't soothe the pang in Anna's heart. Her father had once taught her that intuition was the truest friend, and now, that intuition was screaming, warning her of a truth she wasn't ready to face. One Tuesday morning, as James rushed out the door with an excuse about an urgent meeting, Anna stood silently by the window, watching his car disappear. A chill ran down her spine. She could no longer ignore the signs. With her heart pounding and her hands clenched, Anna resolved to uncover the truth, no matter how painful it might be. She didn't know that this decision would lead her to a moment that would shatter her fairy tale dream, opening the door to an unimaginable nightmare. Anna Marie Larson stood before the gleaming glass tower of Caldwell Innovations, rising proudly in the heart of Midtown Manhattan. Her heart pounded fiercely, each beat like a warning, urging her to face the truth she had tried to ignore for far too long. She rarely set foot in this place, always respecting the invisible boundary between their family life and James's world of work. But today, her unease had become an unquenchable fire, pushing her past her fears. She stepped into the grand lobby, where marble floors reflected light from towering glass walls. Curious glances from the receptionists and office staff brushed past her, but Anna ignored them, striding toward the elevator with trembling resolve. She whispered to herself, "I just need the truth, for Lily's peace." The elevator doors closed, and each chime of the floors amplified the anxiety gripping her chest. The top floor of the tower was James's domain, a luxurious space with a view that embraced Manhattan's skyline. His office, tucked behind polished mahogany doors, was a symbol of power and success. Anna placed her hand on the cold door handle, her fingers trembling. She hoped, almost prayed, that she would find James in a meeting with partners or hunched over his computer, engrossed in multi-million-dollar deals. She told herself that perhaps she was wrong, that her intuition was just a paranoid side effect of pregnancy. But when the door swung open, her world crumbled in a single, agonizing moment. On the expansive mahogany desk, where James had once signed contracts that reshaped the tech industry, A woman with glossy brown hair and a slender figure in a form-fitting dress was wrapped around him. They were lost in a passionate kiss, her arms draped around James's neck, as if the rest of the world had ceased to exist. Anna stood frozen at the threshold, her breath caught, as if an invisible hand were squeezing her heart. Tears silently streamed down her cheeks, each one like a knife slicing into the fairy tale dream she had once believed in. They were too absorbed to notice her until the woman, later introduced as Vanessa Reed, met Anna's gaze. Vanessa flinched, hastily leaping off the desk, fumbling to adjust her disheveled blouse, her face flushed with panic. James, his face pale as if drained of life, turned and met Anna's eyes in a suffocating moment. He stammered, struggling to form explanations, but his voice was weak, fragmented, like a scratched record. "Anna, what are you doing here?" He reached out toward her, but the gesture only made her tremble more. The betrayal was as clear as daylight, cruelly sharp. Anna didn't need to hear his excuses. The image of James, the husband she loved, the future father of Lily, in another woman's arms, was seared into her mind like a permanent scar. Her chest felt as if it were being torn apart, the pain not just emotional, but a physical ache, pulsing with every heartbeat. Her voice quivered, but carried unshakable resolve, like a final verdict. "We're done." Just one sentence, but it bore the weight of the entire world she had built. Without waiting for a response, Anna turned, moving on legs that felt lifeless. She didn't recall how she navigated the hallway, or how she left the tower. The sounds of Manhattan, traffic, horns, the relentless pulse of city life, blurred into a hazy fog. Vanessa shouted something, perhaps an apology, but Anna didn't hear it. James called her name, his voice fading into the air, but she didn't look back. She stepped out of the tower, leaving behind the chaos of James and Vanessa, carrying a shattered heart and a haunting question. How could she have loved a man who was now a stranger? Anna Marie Larson wandered aimlessly along Fifth Avenue, her heart shattered like fragments of glass scattered under Manhattan's sunlight. The image of James in Vanessa Reed's arms haunted her, each memory a sharp cut into her soul. Unable to bear the luxurious apartment where she had once dreamed of a happy family, Anna sought refuge in the cozy, modest home of Sarah Thompson, her closest friend. Sarah, a sharp-witted legal assistant with keen eyes, had witnessed countless divorce dramas at her law firm. When Anna knocked on her door, tears streaming and sobs choking her voice, Sarah needed no explanation to understand. She pulled Anna inside, enveloping her in a tight embrace on the worn armchair in the living room. In the soft glow of a table lamp, Anna recounted the horrifying moment in James's office, her voice breaking like a mournful song. Sarah listened, her hands gripping Anna's tightly, her eyes filled with concern. "Don't ignore these signs, Anna," Sarah whispered, her tone firm yet gentle. "People like James. They can hide more than what you've seen." But Anna, though suffocating in pain, felt an invisible thread pulling her back to Lily, the unborn daughter who was her only reason not to give up entirely. In the days that followed, James became a whirlwind of remorse. Anna's phone buzzed incessantly with his calls and voice messages, each word drenched in tears and desperation. "I messed up, Anna. The IPO pressure, the weight of the world on my shoulders, it broke me," he said, his voice cracking through the phone's speaker. Bouquets of carnations, Anna's favorite flower from their early dating days, appeared at Sarah's doorstep, accompanied by handwritten cards brimming with pleas for forgiveness. Anna, though her heart still ached, felt torn. She remembered the nights James caressed her belly, whispering to Lily, promising a future filled with love. For Lily, and only for Lily, she decided to give James a chance. She wasn't sure if she could forgive, but she wanted to believe their family could still be salvaged. They began marriage counseling with Dr. Michael Harper, a renowned New York therapist who had helped powerful couples mend deep rifts. James, as if to prove his sincerity, rented a discreet apartment in the Upper West Side, shielding Anna from the prying eyes of tabloids always hunting for high society scandals. He encouraged her to decorate Lily's room as she wished, from cloud-painted walls to a handcrafted wooden crib. In those moments of choosing paint colors or hanging curtains, Anna felt a faint flicker of hope. But the image of James and Vanessa, like an indelible ink stain, resurfaced every time she closed her eyes. She threw herself into therapy, trying to rebuild her shattered trust, but her heart swung like a pendulum, between fragile hope and gnawing doubt. Then, new signs began to emerge, like cracks in thin ice. James's phone buzzed at odd moments, often during therapy sessions or quiet dinners. Anna noticed messages from an unsaved number, brief but haunting lines. Once, when James stepped out to take a call, she glimpsed his screen light up. "We need to talk. Don't ignore me." Her heart tightened. Vanessa Reed, the woman who had shattered her world, clearly had no intention of letting go. Anna tried to convince herself that James had ended things, but each secretive text, each furtive call, stabbed at her fragile hope like a dagger. She began to wonder, had James truly changed, or was she merely weaving another dream, poised to break? In the intimate glow of flickering candlelight at an elegant French restaurant nestled in the heart of Midtown Manhattan, Anna Marie Larson sat in a private booth, desperately trying to recapture the warmth of the early days of her marriage. The setting was perfect, a carefully orchestrated moment by her husband, James Caldwell, to celebrate the 8th month of her pregnancy, a precious milestone as their unborn daughter, Lily, drew ever closer to entering the world. The table before them was adorned with exquisite dishes, each a work of culinary art. Fragrant French onion soup, its golden crust glistening under the soft light, and perfectly prepared beef Wellington, its rich aroma mingling with the ambiance. But Anna's mind wandered, adrift in a sea of doubt and longing. James, impeccably dressed in a refined suit that once made her heart flutter, attempted a smile, but it was a hollow gesture. His eyes, once a source of warmth and reassurance, lacked the spark she had adored, replaced by a distant, guarded look that chilled her. As she sipped her water, the delicate clink of the glass against her lips was interrupted by the jarring buzz of James's phone, a sound that shattered the quiet elegance of the moment. He glanced at the screen, his face tightening, and muttered a quick apology before pushing the device aside. But the buzzing persisted, relentless, like a warning siren echoing in Anna's heart, urging her to confront the unease she had tried to bury. Her fingers tightened around the soft linen napkin in her lap, her knuckles whitening as she fought to maintain her composure. Finally, unable to ignore the insistent vibration, James stood abruptly, his chair scraping softly against the polished floor. He stepped outside, the phone pressed tightly to his ear, leaving Anna alone in the booth, surrounded by the faint clatter of silverware and the stolen glances of diners at nearby tables. Their eyes seemed to pierce through her, as if they could sense the turmoil brewing beneath her calm exterior. When James returned, his face was taut, the lines around his mouth etched with tension, and his eyes avoided hers, darting to the tablecloth as if it held answers he couldn't voice. "Just a company issue," he said, his tone flat, almost rehearsed, but the words rang hollow in Anna's ears. A chill ran down her spine, sharp and unyielding, as her intuition screamed that he was lying. The memories of past betrayals, the faint scent of unfamiliar perfume on his coat, the crimson smear of lipstick on a napkin, still haunted her, vivid and raw. Now his evasiveness only deepened the doubts that gnawed at her heart. She gazed at him, searching desperately for traces of the man she had once loved, the man who had swept her into a fairy tale romance, but all she saw was a stranger, his secrets veiled behind a mask of composure. Days later, The fragile peace Anna clung to was shattered again when a mysterious package appeared at the door of the private apartment James had rented for her in the Upper West Side. The small black box, nestled in delicate tissue paper, was accompanied by a card bearing just 2 words: "Coming soon." Anna stood frozen, her trembling hands instinctively cradling her belly, as if to shield Lily from an unseen threat lurking in those cryptic words. Her breath caught in her throat, her pulse racing as she stared at the package, its presence an ominous weight in the quiet room. When James saw it, his reaction was immediate and intense. He called building security, his voice icy, but betraying a tremor of panic she had never heard before. He demanded they check the camera systems, his tone urgent as he insisted they trace the sender. But Anna saw what he tried to conceal: fear. His eyes, usually sharp with the confidence of a self-made millionaire, flickered with an anxiety she had never witnessed, a crack in his carefully constructed facade. She began to wonder, her mind spiraling, whether Vanessa Reed, the woman who had already shattered her world, was behind this unsettling act, or if another enemy lurked in the shadows of James's high-stakes world, a world she had only glimpsed from the outside. The fear escalated one sleepless night when a note was slipped under the apartment door, its scrawled handwriting delivering a chilling threat. "The baby won't hide the truth." Anna's heart constricted, her breath growing heavy as panic clawed at her chest. Was Vanessa, with her obsessive hold on James, sending a message to torment her further? Or was this a calculated move by a business rival, exploiting James's vulnerabilities as Caldwell Innovations prepared for its looming IPO? The uncertainty gnawed at her, each possibility more terrifying than the last. James, acting swiftly, hired a private bodyguard, David Miller, a stern former Marine whose eyes were as sharp as steel, his presence a constant reminder of the danger now shadowing their lives. David followed Anna's every move, escorting her whenever she left the apartment, his silent vigilance both a comfort and a cage. She felt trapped, her freedom stifled by the very protection meant to keep her safe. She longed for the carefree days when her greatest worry was choosing the perfect shade of soft pink paint for Lily's nursery, or imagining leisurely strolls with her daughter under the golden sunlight of Central Park, the world still full of promise. Each night, as the city's twinkling lights filtered through her window, casting a soft glow across the room, Anna lay awake, her hands cradling her belly, whispering promises to Lily to keep her safe. But her doubts grew, spreading like a dark cloud that threatened to eclipse every shred of hope. James's secretive phone calls, his vague, dismissive explanations, and now these mysterious threats, all pointed to a terrifying truth. He was hiding something far greater than an affair, something that could unravel their entire world. Anna felt herself standing on the edge of a precipice, staring into an abyss where a dark secret waited to engulf everything she held dear. Could she protect Lily from the storm that was gathering, its ominous rumble growing louder with each passing day? The weight of that question pressed against her heart, a constant reminder of the battle she faced, not just for herself, but for the tiny life she carried. If these dark secrets send shivers down your spine, please hit the like button, share this story with your friends, and subscribe to our channel to catch the next gripping chapters. Every click helps us spread tales of betrayal, fear, and the unyielding strength to face the darkness. In the waning days of her pregnancy, just 2 weeks before Lily's due date, Anna Marie Larson stepped into the bustling waiting room of Holtzman Hospital, her heart weighed down by a burden that felt heavier than the life growing inside her. She was there for a routine prenatal checkup, her hand resting gently on her swollen belly, where she felt the delicate kicks of her daughter, a quiet, fluttering reminder of why she pressed on through the pain. The hospital's sterile air and the hum of voices filled the crowded room, but as Anna's weary eyes scanned her surroundings, a familiar figure in a distant corner stopped her cold. Vanessa Reed, the woman who had shattered her dreams with one devastating moment, stood alone, her appearance a stark contrast to the poised figure Anna remembered. Vanessa looked haggard, her eyes red and swollen, her once glossy brown hair tangled and shoved haphazardly under a faded hoodie. Anna's instinct was to flee, to turn away from the woman who had upended her world. But before she could move, Vanessa's desperate gaze locked onto hers. With a hurried, almost frantic step, Vanessa intercepted Anna in a quiet hallway, her face etched with a raw, pleading desperation. "Anna, please, hear me out," she whispered, her voice trembling as if each word carried the weight of her own regrets. Before Anna could protest or pull away, Vanessa pressed a small USB drive into her hand, her fingers cold and unsteady, her eyes brimming with unshed tears. "James didn't just betray you with me," Vanessa said, her voice low and urgent. "He's been siphoning money from the company, funneling it through offshore accounts. He used me, and he used you, to craft a perfect image for investors." Anna's heart thundered in her chest, her fingers tightening around the USB, a storm of doubt and fear swirling within her. Vanessa's voice broke as she continued, each word a jagged confession. "He promised to leave you, but I was wrong to believe him." Anna stood frozen, unable to find words, her mind reeling from the weight of the revelation. Without a response, she turned and walked away, the USB feeling like a ticking time bomb nestled in her pocket, its presence a constant reminder of the unraveling truth. Back at Sarah Thompson's modest apartment, a sanctuary of warmth amidst the chaos of Anna's life, she and her best friend sat before a laptop, the dim glow of the screen casting shadows across their faces. Anna's heart pounded as they opened the USB drive, her breath catching as files loaded one by one. The screen filled with complex spreadsheets, each cell revealing shady transactions, shell companies registered in the Bahamas, and incriminating emails from James directing secretive money transfers disguised as consulting fees. Sarah, with her sharp legal acumen honed at her law firm, pored over the documents, her expression growing darker with each page. Her voice, usually steady, carried a grave weight as she spoke. "This isn't just fraud, Anna. This is securities fraud. If true, James could face years in prison." The word struck Anna like a blade, slicing through the fragile hopes she had clung to. James, the man she had once loved with every fiber of her being, the husband who had knelt before her with promises of forever, had not only betrayed her with an affair, but had built his towering empire on a web of deceit, endangering the future she envisioned for Lily. The room seemed to close in around her, the weight of the truth suffocating, as she grappled with the reality that the man she had trusted had woven a life of lies. That night, in the quiet of the apartment, Anna confronted James, the USB clutched in her hand like a weapon forged from her pain. The air was thick with tension as she faced him, her voice trembling but sharp with resolve. "Is it true, James? Are you embezzling money?" she demanded, each word laced with the anguish of betrayal. James stood before her, initially silent, his eyes darting away as if seeking an escape from her piercing gaze. Then, like a cornered animal, he exploded in denial, his voice rising to a shout. "She set it all up! Vanessa is a liar!" he bellowed, his face flushed with anger, his fists slamming the table with a force that made Anna flinch. But his outburst, the raw edge of his desperation, only deepened her fear. She looked into his eyes, searching desperately for the man who had once knelt before her with a diamond ring, who had whispered dreams of a shared future. Instead, she saw only a stranger, entangled in a web of his own deceit, his once charming confidence now a mask for his unraveling world. Unable to bear the weight of the confrontation, James stormed out, the door slamming behind him, leaving Anna alone in the suffocating silence. Her heart shattered anew, tears falling silently as she cradled her belly, her voice a soft, trembling whisper to Lily. "Mommy will protect you, no matter what." In that moment, Her love for her unborn daughter became her anchor, a beacon of strength amidst the wreckage of her trust. The next morning, Anna's resolve hardened, though her voice still quivered as she called Sarah. Her friend, ever the steadfast ally, wasted no time, immediately contacting Robert Carter, a renowned financial crime attorney at Thompson & Associates, known for tackling complex white-collar cases with unrelenting precision. In Robert's office, surrounded by towering stacks of documents and the cold glow of fluorescent lights, he reviewed the USB with a stern, unyielding expression. "This is damning evidence," he said, adjusting his glasses, his voice carrying the weight of certainty. "If accurate, James faces serious charges. You need to act now to protect yourself and your daughter." Robert's words were a sobering call to action, and he advised Anna to file for legal separation, a critical step to shield her and Lily's finances and safety from the fallout of James's actions. Anna, though heartbroken, felt the weight of inevitability settle over her. She nodded, her throat tight with emotion, knowing she had no other choice. The horrifying truth lay bare before her. The man she had loved, the father of her child, had not only betrayed her with infidelity, but had jeopardized their entire future in jeopardy with his crimes. The office, with its stark walls and the distant hum of Manhattan below, seemed to echo her resolve. She would fight, not just for herself, but for Lily, for a future free from the shadows of James's deceit. The pale afternoon light of New York filtered through the windows of Thompson & Associates, casting a soft glow on the towering stacks of documents on the walnut desk. Anna Marie Larson sat there, her hands clasped tightly, her eyes brimming with determination laced with pain. Beside her was Sarah Thompson, her best friend with cascading curly hair and a gaze as sharp as a blade, always ready to fight for Anna. Across from them was Robert Carter, a financial crime attorney whose calm demeanor was like an unshakable mountain. His voice resonated steadily, a backdrop to the legal battle ahead, a battle that would shape the fate of Anna and her unborn daughter Lily. In their hands was a powerful weapon, the USB drive from Vanessa Reed, containing evidence of James Caldwell's shady dealings, the millionaire husband who was once the light of Anna's life, now reduced to a shadow of betrayal. The law office sat high in a glass tower in Manhattan, where reflective walls mirrored the city's glittering skyline. But inside, the air was heavy, as if the world itself were holding its breath. Robert, with his experience confronting Wall Street titans, opened a file, flipping through pages of bank statements and covert emails. Each line was a stab to Anna's heart, proof that James hadn't just cheated, but was entangled in financial fraud, siphoning money from Caldwell Innovations through shell companies in the Bahamas. "We have enough to make him pay," Robert said, his voice cold but confident. "But Anna, you need to brace yourself. This isn't just a divorce. This is war." Anna nodded, feeling as if her heart were being crushed. She had once dreamed of a home filled with Lily's laughter, but now she had to fight to protect that very dream. They filed for legal separation, a necessary step to safeguard Anna's assets and safety. Robert sent a chilling warning to James: cooperate, or the documents would go straight to the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, plunging him into an inescapable legal storm. The confrontation took place in a small meeting room, where fluorescent lights amplified the tension. James stormed in, his usually pristine suit now wrinkled, his eyes bloodshot from sleeplessness and fury. "You're the betrayer, Anna!" he roared, pointing at her, his voice echoing like thunder. Anna sat still, her heart pounding, but her eyes never left his. She had loved this man, believed he would be her and Lily's rock. But now, she saw only a stranger, ensnared in a web of lies he had spun himself. Robert, calm as a restrained tempest, stood up, his voice cutting through. "James, the evidence is undeniable. She's protecting her future and her daughter's. She has no other choice." James slammed the table, making a glass of water tremble, but Sarah's razor-sharp gaze made him falter. Anna felt the strength of those beside her, but deep down, she knew. There was no turning back. The strain of the legal battle was like an invisible cord tightening around Anna. Each night, in Sarah's apartment, she lay in bed, listening to the wind whistle through the window and picturing Lily, the daughter soon to arrive. But the pressure weighed heavily, making sleep a luxury. Just days after the confrontation, a sharp pain struck suddenly, like a tidal wave sweeping her away. Anna clutched her belly, her breathing ragged, sweat streaming down her forehead. She called Sarah, her voice trembling. "I think I'm going into labor." Sarah rushed to her like a whirlwind, getting Anna to Holtzman Hospital as the ambulance's siren pierced the New York night. In the delivery room, Anna gripped Sarah's hand, each contraction a reminder of what she was fighting to protect. Sarah, like a sister, whispered encouragement, her voice gentle but firm. "You've got this, Anna. For Lily." After hours of agony, a piercing cry tore through the air. Lily was born, a tiny angel with silky black hair and eyes shining like stars. As Anna held her daughter, tears streamed down, not from pain, but from a fierce love, as if the entire world now revolved around her and Lily. James arrived late, as dawn crept through the hospital window. He stood at the threshold, tears streaking his face, his voice quivering as he apologized for missing the sacred moment. Anna looked at him, her heart torn in two. Part of her remembered the man who had caressed her belly, whispering loving words to Lily. But the larger part saw only a betrayer, trapped in his own mistakes. She let him hold Lily, but her gaze was cold, an invisible wall between them. James cradled his daughter, murmuring, "You're perfect." But Anna knew that moment couldn't erase the wounds he had inflicted. She turned away, resolved to shield Lily from the storm James had dragged them into. The SEC's investigation into Caldwell Innovations quickly became a media spectacle. Tabloids screamed headlines about the fallen tech millionaire. The company's stock plummeted like a stone in freefall, and the grand IPO plan was postponed indefinitely. Anna, now staying with Sarah in her cozy Brooklyn apartment, tried to shield herself from the media storm. She refused to return to the luxurious apartment near Central Park, once a symbol of a dream now shattered. Each day, she held Lily, singing soft lullabies, whispering promises of a safe life. But James wouldn't let go. He called incessantly, sometimes begging for forgiveness in the gentle voice of the husband she once knew, other times threatening a custody fight, his tone chilling enough to make her shudder. With Robert's support, Anna filed for full custody, citing the criminal allegations against James as a steel shield. Each night, as Lily slept soundly in her crib, Anna gazed at her, feeling a newfound strength. She would do anything to protect this little angel. One afternoon, as Anna changed Lily's diaper, the doorbell rang. She opened the door to find Vanessa Reed, more haggard than ever. Her eyes were red, her brown hair disheveled, as if she hadn't slept in days. Anna moved to shut the door, but Vanessa's pleading gaze stopped her. "I'm not your enemy, Anna," Vanessa said, her voice trembling, handing over a brown envelope. Inside were texts and emails showing James's attempts to silence her to hide his crimes. "We were both manipulated by him," Vanessa whispered, tears streaming down. For the first time, Anna saw Vanessa not as a homewrecker, but as another victim in James's web of deceit. The bitter truth, though painful, ignited a spark in Anna. She wasn't alone. With Lily in her arms, Sarah by her side, and Robert leading the legal charge, Anna felt a glimmer of hope. She was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, for justice, for Lily, and for herself. In the soft light of a Manhattan courtroom, Anna Marie Larson stood tall, her heart pounding but no longer trembling. The court granted her temporary custody of Lily, the little girl who was her only light in those dark days. She also received a substantial portion of James Caldwell's assets, including the luxurious apartment near Central Park and a trust fund secured for Lily's future. But Anna, unwilling to be tethered to painful memories, decided to sell the apartment. With the proceeds, she bought a modest house in Brooklyn, where tree-lined streets and the sound of children's laughter echoed her own childhood in Queens. She transformed Lily's bedroom into a vibrant haven, with walls painted in sunny yellow, cheerful cartoon murals, and a small crib where her daughter slept soundly each night. Every detail in that room was a promise from Anna. Lily would grow up surrounded by love and safety, despite the wreckage of the past. James's case reached its climax in the weeks that followed. Under pressure from the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, and the irrefutable evidence from Vanessa's USB drive, he pleaded guilty to securities fraud, admitting to embezzling millions through shell companies in the Bahamas. The court sentenced him to years in prison, marking the complete collapse of the Caldwell Innovations empire. The media, once ravenous for every detail of the scandal, now turned to a new narrative: Anna's resilience. Tabloids that had once smeared her now published glowing articles, calling her the woman who rose from the ashes. Anna, now a single mother, found strength in the simple moments with Lily. From her daughter's gleeful giggles during playtime, to the sparkling eyes that met hers when she sang lullabies, her love for her daughter became a flame that warmed her heart, helping her overcome the scars James had left behind. Determined never to be deceived again, Anna established a charity in her mother's name, Margaret, to support single mothers facing legal and financial challenges. She enrolled in a financial advising course, learning to manage money to secure a future for Lily and herself. In the evenings, as Brooklyn's gentle lights filtered through her window, Anna sat at her desk, diligently taking notes, resolute in building an independent life. She didn't just want to survive, she wanted to thrive, to become a beacon for other women. Anna also began sharing her story. Once terrified of the spotlight, she became a speaker, standing before hundreds to recount her journey from heartbreak to empowerment. Her voice, though soft, resonated with the strength of someone who had conquered darkness. Each morning, she walked Lily through Brooklyn's streets, pausing to chat with neighbors who greeted her with warm smiles. Lily's laughter, mingling with the rustle of leaves, brought Anna a peace she thought she had lost forever. One evening, sipping tea on the porch with Sarah Thompson, the friend who had stood by her through every storm, Anna smiled. Her eyes gleamed with newfound faith, not only in herself, but in life itself. She hadn't just survived the betrayal of her millionaire husband, she had been reborn, stronger than ever, for Lily, for herself. Anna's story is a vivid testament that even from the deepest wounds, a new beginning can blossom. She turned pain into strength, loss into hope, and a shattered dream into a radiant future. If this inspiring journey touches your heart, please hit the like button, share this story with your friends, and subscribe to our channel to catch more tales of resilience and triumph. Every click helps us spread inspiring journeys, reminding us all that we have the strength to overcome darkness and find light again.